Joseph Stalin, beyond being known for his iconic mustache, is perhaps most infamous for the ruthless purges that shaped his iron grip on the Soviet Union. These purges saw countless high-ranking party members, military officers, and potential dissidents removed from public life. Yet, one of the most perplexing questions remains: why didn't anyone fight back? Why didn't those who feared becoming the next target do something to save themselves? To understand this, we need to backtrack and examine how Stalin rose to power in the first place. Initially, Lenin led the charge, but his health began to deteriorate, forcing him to step back. In his absence, Lenin created the role of general secretary, which was supposed to be more about discipline than actual power. Yet this position fell into the hands of Joseph Stalin, something that wasn't necessarily by design, but one that would have far-reaching consequences. Though the position wasn't designed to wield immense power, Stalin used it as a springboard to control the party's membership. As general secretary, he became the gatekeeper of political influence, able to decide who could hold key positions in the government. This allowed him to gradually build a loyal base within the party, people who were indebted to him, and helped him gain control over the apparatus of the state. Lenin, growing increasingly frustrated with Stalin's behavior, eventually called for Stalin's removal from his post. This might have seemed like the end for Stalin, but things worked out differently. Lenin's preferred successor was Trotsky, a highly regarded figure among the Bolsheviks. But Trotsky had his own set of issues. He wasn't particularly liked by many within the old guard, and Stalin was able to outmaneuver him by skillfully highlighting the divisions within the Bolshevik Party, presenting himself as the more neutral, agreeable alternative. Trotsky, in his overconfidence, believed that his position was unshakable. Stalin, on the other hand, positioned himself as a loyal follower of Lenin, contrasting himself with Trotsky, who came across as more self-assured and distant from Lenin's legacy. Stalin played his cards wisely. He capitalized on Trotsky's absences, like when Trotsky missed Lenin's funeral due to being misled about the date, and used this to damage Trotsky's reputation. He also made sure to weaken Trotsky's base by fostering divisions and portraying him as an outsider. Stalin was building his power quietly but effectively. After Lenin passed away, the key leaders in the party, particularly Trotsky, just didn't have the unity or strength to stand up to Stalin as he grabbed more power. Despite being head of the military, Trotsky was unable to effectively counter Stalin's rise. Trotsky had a reluctance to use the army against his fellow communists, and he miscalculated Stalin's political skills, believing that Stalin's incompetence would eventually lead to his downfall. Spoiler alert, it didn't. The purges themselves were a direct consequence of Stalin's quest to secure his hold on power. In 1934, after the assassination of Sergei Kirov, a major figure in the Communist Party, Stalin seized the opportunity to initiate a mass purge. The primary targets were fellow party members, military officers, and anyone seen as a potential threat. But what's most fascinating is why there was so little resistance to these purges, especially from the military, who were in a prime position to challenge Stalin. Stalin had already built a network of loyalists within the military. He ensured their allegiance by appointing political officers, essentially party loyalists, within the military ranks, whose job was to ensure that soldiers were loyal to the Communist Party and, by extension, Stalin himself. This system made organizing any resistance nearly impossible. Additionally, Stalin managed to manipulate and divide the elites in the party. By turning one faction against another, he created an environment where no one wanted to be seen as protecting the traitors being purged. The purges were also staggered over time, with individuals being removed slowly, so that those left behind could tell themselves they had nothing to fear, they weren't the ones being purged. Moreover, Stalin cleverly made the purges appear justified. Most of those involved in the purges believed they were simply eliminating traitors, so many saw no reason to resist. For those who were purged, it wasn't always clear what evidence Stalin's secret police, the NKVD, had against them, so those who cooperated with the authorities could avoid being linked to the accused. This created a culture of fear and self-preservation, where silence and compliance were seen as the best strategies for survival. Stalin also mastered the art of deniability. He allowed others to carry out the purges, and then, when the violence escalated, he could step back and blame those around him. If the purges went too far, he could claim he had no knowledge of them, and when things got too intense, he could blame it on the people executing his orders and replacing them with more loyal individuals. Another intriguing tactic Stalin employed was pretending to resign. In moments of crisis, he would offer to step down, knowing full well that his underlings would beg him to stay. This wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a clever ploy that reinforced his power by showing how indispensable he was to the party. His subordinates would then prove their loyalty by begging him to return, which allowed him to consolidate even more authority. Despite all the fear and violence, no one in the party or the military could ever really stand up to Stalin. The only thing that could threaten his power was death itself. In the end, the biggest challenge to his rule was simply his own mortality. What do you think about Stalin? He started as an appointee and worked his way up to have all the power. Do you think he was a smart leader or just a cruel dictator? How do you see his rise to the top? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content.